Hey friends, how's it going? My name is Gabby, welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to be doing another book haul. It's been I want to say it's been at least like 2 months since the last time that I filmed a book haul, and I've been stacking up with some things. I've been buying a lot of books. I want to say that I have maybe like 40, maybe like 50 books to let you know about, so we have quite a lot to get through. However, before we do jump into today's video, I just wanted to take a second to thank today's video sponsor, which is HelloFresh. Because when it comes to options for dinner, more is more, because HelloFresh has 40 recipes to choose from every week and up to 100 different add-ons to things you can add on to your order as well. I know usually in the fall people have such busy and packed schedules, but that's why I think HelloFresh makes it so easy to have a nice quality dinner at home. You don't have to waste time grocery shopping, you don't have to leave your house, the food gets delivered right to your door. I think cooking for me feels a lot less intimidating with HelloFresh because I'm not the kind of person who would just know my way around a kitchen and know how to bust out something looking this amazing. But with HelloFresh, it's just so easy to follow the simple steps. You have all of the ingredients that you need. I really like that with HelloFresh, you're not getting anything extra that you won't use, you know, because I know every now and then we'll be making these recipes that require such little of one thing and then you end up throwing out the rest of it and you feel like you just wasted your money and you're wasting food. But I like that with HelloFresh, I never have that issue. I feel like I'm always getting introduced to new recipes that I never would have thought of on my own. And it's always good to know that with HelloFresh, you are getting the freshest ingredients because they go from the farm to your door in less than 7 days. I feel like HelloFresh really does take the stress out of dinner time for me because I'm always wondering what's for dinner, what am I gonna do tonight? I feel like meal planning can be such a burden. But I feel like HelloFresh really makes dinner time so much fun. It makes me feel excited about cooking dinner that night because I get to try all these new different things and I get to revisit recipes that I know that I like. Like for example, last night me and my sister ended up making these beef falatas, which is one of my absolute top favorite recipes from HelloFresh. Like I was literally so excited to have this for dinner again. I love too how simplistic this recipe is. It's ready in about 30 minutes and it's so freaking tasty. It's just so delicious, and after these go in the oven, they just get that perfect crunch when they come out. Oh my gosh, I'm obsessed. I highly recommend getting this meal if you're gonna try HelloFresh because it's so good. So you can go to HelloFresh.com and use my code 50gabbyreads for 50% off your order plus free shipping. Isn't that such a great deal? You go to HelloFresh.com, you use my code 50gabbyreads and you get 50% off your order and free shipping. That is such an amazing deal. Thank you so much to HelloFresh for sponsoring today's video, and now let's get into the book haul. Alright, so the first books that I wanted to show you came from Book of the Month. These are two of their September picks. I ended up going with The Stranger Upstairs and You Again, and if you missed the announcement in my last TBR video, The Stranger Upstairs is actually going to be our BookTube book club pick for the month of October, which I am very excited about. I feel like this is a thriller horror kind of book that I am very much looking forward to. All I really know about it is that it deals with this influencer who gets this house that like she needs to renovate and she needs to like redo the house, but then it's like more creepy than she anticipated, and I think there's something going on in the house. I don't want to know too much about it before jumping in, but it sounds like it's going to be incredible, so I hope that it is. And then I also decided to go with You Again. This one is a romance book that I haven't really heard too much about, but I wasn't expecting for it to be so freaking thick. Oh my god. Yeah, this one is over 400 pages long. Like, I don't know why that is. I don't know too much about this book, but it does sound like it's gonna have the hate to love trope, which I do love, because it just says, can they stop hating each other long enough to fall in love? I would love to read this one at some point in the fall, because does this cover just not scream the fall vibes to you? Like, I'm obsessed with this cover just because of the way it just looks so aesthetically pleasing with the fall leaves. Oh, I'm obsessed. And then I have 3 books that came from Atria. The first one is Thicker Than Water by Megan Collins, and this is a new thriller that I am pretty excited about. This is the same author as The Family Plot. We're following these women who are devoted best friends and business partners, and their families are friends with each other, and it says their lives are upended when Jason, who's one of their brothers, gets into a car accident and is placed in a medically induced coma, and worse, the police arrive with the news that he's the prime suspect in his boss's murder investigation. It just sounds like one of those thrillers where there's like a lot of family secrets and a lot of lies going on, and it sounds like it's going to be interesting. I also really do love the blue on this cover with the yellow text. I just think that looks really cool. They also did send The Long Game by Elena Armas, which this is the new book from the author of The Spanish Love Deception, which is a book that I read and really enjoyed. And this one just came out on September 5th. This copy that I have is an art copy, but this book is now available. So this one is about this woman who works for a football team, like in the office of the football team. I don't really understand, but it says her routine is disrupted when a video of her having an altercation with the team's mascot goes viral. And it says rather than fire her, the team's owner, who happens to be her father, sends her to the middle of nowhere, North Carolina, where she's tasked with turning around the struggling local soccer team. Oh, it's a soccer team, not a football team. I'm stupid. Oh, and then the romance is with this guy who is the retired professional goalkeeper. Okay, so we have a bit of a soccer romance happening. Oh my god, I'm so dumb. There's literally a soccer ball like right there on the cover. Like, am I okay? Why did I think this was football the whole time? Anyways, I don't really know, but I am planning to read this one this month. And then Atria also sent me a copy of The Band, and this one is actually an ARC copy. This one doesn't go on sale till April 16th, but this is one that I'm so excited about. I keep hearing about this book. Like, a lot of people keep messaging me about this and asking me if I've heard of this because it sounds like it's gonna be right up my alley. Because in this story, we're following from the point of view of the eldest member and the visual of a Korean boy band at the apex of global superstardom. And it says, but when his latest solo single accidentally leads to controversy, he's abruptly canceled. And I feel like this book is just gonna dive into all of the crazy things about not only like what it's like to be a K-pop star, but also kind of like fandom in general and like all kinds of stuff. I can't wait to read this one. I think it's gonna be so fun, and it does sound like it's, you know, right up my alley. It sounds like something I would really enjoy, so I can't wait to check it out. Next up, Berkeley Romance ended up sending me 3 books this month. We got this one that's called This Spells Disaster, and this one on the back sounds so interesting because it says fake dating gets a magical twist in this enchanting queer romantic comedy. And then we have With Love from Cold World, and this is by Alicia Thompson, who's actually the same author as Love in the Time of Serial Killers, which is a romance book that I read last year, and I had the biggest like love-hate relationship with that book. It's also interesting because this location, Cold World, is apparently a tourist destination that's always a winter wonderland despite being located in humid Orlando, Florida. And so we're following this protagonist named Lauren, who is the bookkeeper for Cold World, and then it's about a romance between her and one of her co-workers. I don't know, it sounds like it's gonna be cute and interesting. I might actually save this one for the winter time if it takes place at like a winter wonderland, like tourist destination spot. I feel like this actually might be better to read during, you know, the cold times when it's cold, so I might be saving this one for the winter. Then they also sent Accidentally in Love by Danielle Jackson. Premise for this one just says, when Sam is stuck sharing the streets for Chicago's summer festivals with a man she can't stand, she'll find it's often a bumpy road that leads to love. It sounds like it's gonna be so cute. It takes place in Chicago. You know, something that I think is really interesting about this book that nobody else will probably care about is the fact that the love interest, his name is Russell Montgomery, and they call him RM. Like any BTS fans out there, they call him RM. And so the love interest, his name is RM. Like, add this to the top of my TBR list. Isn't that so cute? Oh my gosh, I'm so delusional, but RM, can you believe? I feel like that's not common initials to see, so like I got very excited about that. And also this cover, is this cover not the cutest? I'm in love with this color palette happening in the background. Are you kidding me? Okay, next up, Penguin Random House ended up sending me a whole bunch of things. One of the books they sent is The Possibilities, which this is a kind of like sci-fi, kind of contemporary book that I've been really intrigued and really interested in reading. This one just says, a new mother ventures into parallel worlds to find her missing child in this mind-bending novel that turns the joys and anxieties of parenthood into an epic quest. Doesn't this one sound like it's gonna be similar to like The Dream Daughter or something? I love the idea of like a mother going through parallel universes to like save her child. Like that just sounds like it's gonna be so epic. I did actually end up starting this one. I got about 36 pages into it and I wasn't really in the mood at the time because I feel like this one's going to be a bit more of a character driven like story about a mother as opposed to like an epic sci-fi, or at least that's the vibe I was getting just from the beginning of this book. And so I wasn't quite in the mood for that when I picked it up originally, but I am still really excited to read this one. I feel like this one has so much potential to be amazing. And then they sent, oh, Happiness Falls by Angie Kim. This is definitely one of my most anticipated books of the year, so I'm so excited to be holding this right now because this is the same author as Miracle Creek, which was one of my favorite books from a few years ago. It just really stuck with me over the years. And this premise just says when a father goes missing, his family's desperate search leads them to question everything they know about him and one another. A riveting page turner and a deeply moving portrait of a family in crisis. And something that I think is cool too is that in this story, we're following a biracial Korean American family who's living in Virginia, and it says their lives are changed when their beloved father and husband goes missing. And something that I think that Angie Kim does so well is having a really interesting like mystery or like thriller kind of aspect to her books, but then they also end up just being so beautifully written, and like she writes such strong characters that I'm so excited to read this. I hope it's amazing. I want to read this one really soon. I'm hoping to read it before the end of the month. And then they sent this, The Fall of the House of Usher, which is by Edgar Allan Poe, which is being turned into a Netflix series, which is going to be directed by Mike Flanagan, which is very, very exciting. And so that's why it looks like this cover. It's kind of like the Netflix poster cover, which I think is really cool. And what's really cool about this collection is that Mike Flanagan wrote the foreword in this book. So there's a foreword from Mike Flanagan himself, which I just think is so cool. And then The Fall of the House of Usher is one of the short stories that's included in this collection. So this is not only The Fall of the House of Usher, but it's also other stories that inspire the Netflix series. So it's a huge collection of a bunch of different short stories from Edgar Allan Poe, which is really cool. I feel like it would be really cool to try and read this like right before the show comes out, because the show is going to be coming out next month. I think they announced it for like October 12th or something. Like it's coming up really soon. So I can't wait for this. I think it'll be so cool, especially because I don't think I've ever read anything by Edgar Allan Poe. Like I can't remember. I don't think that I have. And then Random House also sent The Freedom Clause by Hannah Sloan. And this one is one that sounds so interesting. I think this one's kind of like a contemporary, just kind of like romantic kind of story. But it says, in this bold and sexy debut, a young couple agrees to open their marriage, but soon discover that a little freedom has surprising consequences. I've mentioned this a lot before, but I love following books where we follow a couple who has like an open marriage or an open relationship. I just find those kinds of things to be absolutely fascinating to read about. Like it's just one of the things that intrigues me the most in books. I don't know why. I just love reading about it. And so I'm very excited for this one just for that reason alone. And then Random House also sent me a copy of Wild by Cheryl Strayed. They just had this listed on the forum as an option, and I was like, hell yes, because Wild is one of my favorite books of all time. I actually read this book at the beginning of last year, and this is like one of those rare nonfiction books that I would actually reread this. Like I would actually read this again, and so that's why I was like, I really want to get my hands on this because of how much I love Wild. It's basically just a nonfiction story about this woman who is going through a really shit time in her life where her mom just died and she's really struggling, and she decides to hike the Pacific Crest Trail all by herself, and it's just her story about her journey, but it's just so inspiring. Like this is one of those nonfiction books that has inspired me the most in this world. They also ended up sending this book, which is Scenes of the Crime, and this one sounds like it's going to be really interesting as well, because it says an ambitious screenwriter tries to solve a friend's disappearance by recreating a fateful trip in this riveting locked room mystery. Like let's go, what the fuck? I love that was so many keywords right there that intrigues me, like an ambitious screenwriter. Okay. I also love that it says we follow 5 girlfriends, a remote winery on the Oregon coast. Heck yes, give me those Pacific Northwest vibes. That is what I'm looking for. It just sounds like it's gonna be great. Does it not sound like it's gonna be great? And look at the cover, it's just so beautiful. I want to live in this house. I want to live right there. That'll be me. Okay, and then Random House, I forgot, they also sent me a copy of Mr. Magic by Kirsten White. I'm so excited to read, even though this is one that I'm nervous because I was not a huge fan of this author's other book, which was called Hide. I ended up reading that one last year and it was like a 1-star book for me. Like I really didn't like it, but this one sounds like it's going to be so cool. It says, who is Mr. Magic? It says former child stars reunite to uncover the tragedy that ended their show and discover the secret of its enigmatic host in this dark supernatural thriller. This one sounds like it's going to be so interesting, and I have been hearing better things from like people who have read this one and Hide. It seems like a lot of people who didn't really like Hide are really liking this one. So like I have high hopes. I'm hoping to read this one as soon as humanly possible because it sounds like it's going to be so good. All right, next up I got 2 books from St. Martin's. The first one that I got is one of my most anticipated romances of the year because it's Fly With Me by Andy Burke. Do you even believe how how cute this cover is. Like, I'm obsessed with the colors of it, like the purple and the blue and the pink and all that, but also look at how cute the little airplane, and she's a pilot. Like, oh my god. And it says one of the women in this book, she's flying phobic ER nurse Olive, and the pilot announces an in-flight medical emergency, and so she leaps into action and saves a life, but she ends up getting stuck in the airport hours away from the marathon she's running in honor of her brother. And then after spending 2 days together, Stella makes a surprising request. Will Olive be her fake girlfriend? So not only are there pilots and there's nurses and they're so cute, but it's gonna be fake dating as well. Like, what the heck? This book just kind of sounds like one of my like dream romance premises, so I'm hoping that it's as incredible as I'm like making it out to be in my head, because this is gonna be my new favorite thing ever. I can just feel it. They also sent me Can't Look Away by Carola Lovering, and this is the same author as Tell Me Lies. I feel like this author is really well known for having like mystery and thriller books that have like a touch of romance to them. I feel like almost all of her thrillers have a little bit of romance in them. And this one is no different, because it says the year is 2013 and we are following this 23-year-old girl named Molly who's just locked eyes with Jake Danner, and he's the front man of an up-and-coming southern rock band. It's not long before they fall deeply in love, yada yada yada. It says nearly a decade later, Molly is teaching yoga and living in a posh Connecticut suburb with her young daughter and her husband Hunter, who is decidedly not Jake Danner. It says she's so lonely in her picture-perfect life until Sabrina walks into her studio, a newcomer in town. Sabrina has her own reasons for seeking out Molly. It says, meanwhile, a new version of Jake's hit song is on the radio, forcing Molly to confront her past and ask the ultimate questions. What happens when life turns out nothing like we thought it would? So like, I don't really know if this is a thriller. I don't know if it's a romance. I'm not too sure what it is, but I'll probably be reading it, because I feel like Carola Lovering, even though I was not a fan of Tell Me Lies, like that book was a 1 star. I did not like it. But then I did read a second book from this author that I did end up really liking. So I feel like this author has been very hit or miss for me so far, but this one sounds interesting enough that like I'm gonna check this one out. I'm willing to pick it up. I'm willing to give it a shot. Okay, something really exciting that I received in the mail is this ARC copy of this book Beta, which is by Sammy Scott. And Sammy Scott himself was kind enough to send me this ARC copy of his new book. This one actually just came out on September 1st, so it is available now to go and pick up and check out. And this one is his first full-length novel, because if the name Sammy Scott rings a bell, it's because he wrote one of my favorite books of this year, which is called At Home with the Horrors. It's a book that I read during Summerween that's like a collection of 14 short horror stories, and that's like one of my favorite collections of short horror stories that I've ever read in my life now. And so pretty cool that he's published his first like full-length novel, and this one is a kind of like sci-fi horror. It's about this guy who receives a weird invitation, the unique opportunity to move into and beta test a fully automated state-of-the-art smart home, which sounds like it's gonna be so cool. I've heard this book get compared to Black Mirror a lot, which I also think is very exciting. And you know what's also very exciting is that my name is literally in the acknowledgements of this book. Like, what the heck? Because Sammy Scott was such a freaking kind soul. So I cannot wait to read this one. I'm hoping to get to it at some point this month, but if not next month for sure. I'm so excited to read it, because I feel like his books, they really do, like his stories really do feel like Black Mirror inspired to me, and I absolutely love that because I'm a huge Black Mirror fan. And so I can't wait to read this one, and thank you so much again to Sammy Scott for being such a freaking sweetheart with this. And then this is another one that I'm pretty excited about. It's called Night of the Living Queers, and this one just sounds like it's gonna be so cool, because it says Night of the Living Queers is a young adult horror anthology that explores a night when anything is possible, exclusively featuring queer authors of color putting fresh spins on classic horror tropes and tales. And it's so cool because it all takes place on the night of Halloween. So it says each short story is told through the lens of a different BIPOC teen and tells the tale of a Halloween night that changes their life forever. It just sounds like it's gonna be so cool and so unique. I was like, maybe I should save this and actually read it on Halloween. Like, how cool would that be? But I'm excited for this especially because there's a few names in here of like different authors that are published in here that I recognize some of their names, and I'm like really excited about it. I mean, like Ryan Douglas is one of them. Like, he's the author of The Taking of Jake Livingston. And then there's also Kasako Jackson. Like, what the heck? And then I'm so excited because Del Rey ended up sending me 2 different books that I am so excited for both of these. So the first one is going to be Spin a Black Yarn by Josh Mallerman, and this is a collection of short stories from Josh Mallerman. It's a bunch of different novellas, so apparently on the back here it says 5 harrowing novellas of horror and speculative fiction. So that is so cool. I'm so excited for this because I feel like Josh Mallerman he is one of those authors that is very hit or miss for me. You know, I feel like his books I either like do not vibe at all or I 100% vibe. It's like 5 stars. And so I love the idea of reading another like collection of novellas or like short stories from him because, you know, he is the author of A House at the Bottom of a Lake, which is a short story that's like one of my favorite short horror books that I've ever read. And so I'm hoping that at least some of the short stories in this collection really work for me. I'm just so excited to read this one. I think it's gonna be great. I just love reading short horror collections like this. I think it's so much fun. And then they also sent this book, Untamed Shore by Sylvia Morena Garcia. Like, what? I had never even heard of this before I saw it on the request form, and I was like, wait, what the fuck is that? Like, Sylvia Morena Garcia? Like, how have I not heard about this? Because this is the same author as Mexican Gothic, hello? And this one just says, a young woman becomes embroiled in a web of lies and deceit with potentially deadly consequences in this dark coming of age, and it takes place in Baja, California in 1979. Like, how cool. This one just sounds like it's gonna be a very, like, atmospheric, kind of, like, beachy thriller kind of mystery read. Like, I don't even know what the heck this is, but I'm so excited about it. All right, and then I have a book from Dutton. They ended up sending the Deja Glitch by Holly James, which this one sounds like it's gonna be absolutely incredible because it involves one of my favorite things, which is like a time loop. A time travel, like time loop. I don't really understand. It says, to break out of a 24-hour time loop, all Jack needs is for Gemma to fall in love with him in a single day. All Gemma needs is to remember him first. Oh my god, I love a premise like this. It's like Palm Springs. It's like the movie Palm Springs. I just love a time loop situation where the characters are stuck living the same day over and over again. It also kind of reminds me of like 50 First Dates if like his goal is to make her fall in love with him in one day. Like, how cute! Oh my god, I hope this is everything. It sounds like it's gonna be so cute. Okay, and then I got this arc from HTP Books and it's called The Fiction Writer by Julian Cantor. And okay, first of all, do we see this cover? I am obsessed. Can we believe? Like, oh my god, this is beautiful, stunning. It's like a beautiful ass mansion on the side of this cliff, and there's like ocean down here, and there's these palm trees. I don't know what, I love this cover. Is it so stunning? Oh, and this one's an ARC copy. This one goes on sale November 28th. This one just sounds really cool. It's like a mystery thriller that follows this woman who is a once rising literary star, Olivia Fitzgerald. And she's down on her luck. It says her most recent novel that was a retelling of Rebecca was a flop, and now she's battling a bad case of writer's block. So it says when her agent calls with a high-paying ghostwriting opportunity, she's all too willing to sign the NDA. And it says all she has to do is interview Henry Asherwood, a reclusive mega-billionaire twice named People's Sexiest Man Alive who wants her to write a book about his late grandmother's surprising connection to Daphne de Mar. Ooh, but it says as she starts digging into his past, she uncovers all kinds of suspicious things about him. And it says, with as many twists and turns as the California coast, The Fiction Writer is a page-turner that explores the slippery boundaries of creative freedom and whose story we have the right to tell. Ugh, this just sounds like it's gonna be so good. I especially love thrillers that follow writers and like it takes place on the coast of California. Like, let's go. This sounds like it's gonna be so good. Ugh, I feel like I should have read this in the summertime. Like, how weird that this is coming out in like late November. I feel like this would be the perfect summer read. Okay, and then from Quirk Books, I got an ARC copy of What Kind of Mother? And this one is an ARC copy because this is not the final cover of the book, but this one actually does publish in September. I'm pretty sure it actually published in early September, so this one might already be available. But this one, oh my gosh, this premise throws me off so hard, okay? Like, this premise is wild, okay? It says Nicholas Sparks meets the Empty Man in this modern southern gothic horror about a palm reader swept up in a disturbing missing child case with a twist you won't see coming. Say what? Okay, that just threw me so hard. Can you even believe it? It says Nicholas Sparks meets the Empty Man? Like, what? Have you seen the Empty Man? I've seen the Empty Man. The Empty Man is like a really cool and creepy like mystery horror movie that I was really into a few years ago. And the fact that this would compare that to like Nicholas Sparks, I mean, what? Is it just because it takes place in the South? I don't really know. And it says combining supernatural horror with domestic suspense into a visceral exploration of parental grief. Like, that just sounds like something I want to read immediately. immediately. Okay, and then Simon and Schuster also sent me an ARC copy of Rouge by Mona Awad. That's how you say this, right? It's Rouge? I was saying Rogue earlier and I realized that was way wrong. It's not Rogue. I think it's Rouge. But anyways, this is one that I am so excited to read. This is an ARC copy that I have, but this one actually goes on sale September 12th, so it is already on sale. And this one says, from the critically acclaimed author of Bunny. Hello, Bunny. This one just says it's a horror-tinged gothic fairy tale about a lonely dress shop clerk whose mother's unexpected death sends her down a treacherous path in pursuit of youth and beauty. Oh my gosh, this just sounds like it's gonna be so weird and so good. I expect nothing less from Mona Awad. Like, weird is what I expect from Mona Awad, and weird is what I shall receive. All right, and then Mulholland Books ended up sending me a book that I am so, this is like one of my most anticipated books too. I'm so excited about it. It's A Haunting on the Hill by Elizabeth Hand, and this is an ARC copy that I have. This one goes on sale October 3rd, but like, can you believe this? Can you believe? Oh my god, it's stunning. Like, even for an ARC copy, this is beautiful. And so the reason why I'm so excited for this book is because this premise. It says, from award-winning writer Elizabeth Hand comes the first ever authorized novel to return to the world of Shirley Jackson's The Haunting of Hill House, and a terrifying contemporary story of isolation and longing all its own. And so, how cool is this? This is the first book to ever return to the world of Hill House. So like, this book takes place at the same Hill House as Shirley Jackson's book, but it's like a different story. We're following different characters who are going to the same Hill House. Is that not the coolest thing that you've ever heard? I almost like lost my shit when I heard this. I just think it's so cool. And it's also cool because we're following this main character who's a struggling playwright, and so we're following a girl who's a writer. Like, I just said I love following books with writers. Like, this could not be more up my alley. All right, and before I do jump into all of the books that I bought for myself in the last couple of months, I just wanted to show you a quick little library haul because I wanted to remind you that libraries are incredible and that you can always find so much things at your libraries and that you don't have to buy and consume all of the books. You can just use your library and just get books for free and check them out all the time. And so I ended up getting Alice in Borderland Volume 4 from my library recently, which I just read. I just read this last night and it was so freaking good. Oh my god, I'm obsessed with Alice in Borderland. This manga is just absolutely incredible. If you've even seen the show, because I've seen the show, I still think you should read the manga series because the manga is still so good. It's so interesting and it's slightly different from the show. Then I also just checked out, there's this manga called Our Dining Table. This one is supposed to be like a really cute, like male romance family with their little daughter. I don't really know too much about this one, to be honest, but I just heard that it's really cute and really wholesome. So I decided to pick this one up. I'm hoping to read this one soon. And then I also decided to check out this new manga series that I saw my library had all 3 volumes available right away, so I just got them all. And it's the series called Love and Focus. And this is another one that I don't really know too much about this series. I just know that we're following this teenage girl who has a passion for photography. She loses someone dear to her, but luckily her childhood best friend encourages her to come to his high school and join their prestigious photo club. It says she grabs her camera and moves into the dorm where Kai and his classmates live. And it says soon a fresh take on life along with a mysterious new muse begin to come into focus. And so I think it's kind of like either a love story between her and one of these guys, or like, I don't really know if it's a love triangle. I don't know. But it looks like it's gonna be so cute. And honestly, like, ever since coming home from Japan, I've just been like, I want to read all of the manga all of the time, and so that's what I've been doing. And so I'm so glad that my library has so much manga for me to read. Okay, and then this last stack of books is all books that I've bought for myself in these last few weeks. The first thing that I wanted to show you is this Spy Family Volume 1 manga that's actually in Japanese. I ended up going, and while I was in Japan, I decided to buy at least one manga that's actually in Japanese just because I thought it would be so cool, and because the manga in Japan looks kind of different. It's a little bit smaller than what it looks like in the States, and how cool it actually has like a book cover, like a sleeve over the top of it, and then when you pull it off, it has this really cute like white book cover. I don't know, I just think the manga there is just so adorable and so interesting. I love the fact that now I own Spy Family Volume 1 in both English and in Japanese because it's like one of my favorite series. So I just thought it would be so cool to own both and to have both. And so now I'm so glad that I ended up getting this because It's so cute. While I was at one of my local used bookstores during my Instagram Controls My Life video that I did have a little haul during that video that you saw during that video, so I won't spend too much time on it here. But I did end up getting the book Exit West, and part of the reason why I wanted to get this one is because I realized it's been annotated by somebody else. Like, I just see a lot of like highlight and markings throughout the pages, and that just made me so excited. Like, I don't know why, I get really excited at the idea of reading a book that's been annotated by a complete stranger. I think that's very exciting, so I'm so excited to read this. I've also just heard really great things about this book over the years, and I just haven't gotten around to it yet, so I'm excited to check it out. I also ended up picking up a copy of Dark Places by Gillian Flynn, which this is the only book from this author that I haven't read yet, and this one's a thriller that I've heard that it's pretty dark and pretty disturbing. I think it's about a girl who, like, her whole family gets murdered. I don't really know too much about this one, to be honest, but I'm excited to check it out. And then I also picked up a copy of You Will Know About Me by Megan Abbott, and this one's another thriller that I saw there. I don't really know too much about this one either. This one actually follows a girl who is in gymnastics for like trying to go to the Olympics, I guess. I don't know. It sounds like it's gonna be interesting. I don't think I've ever read anything from this author, so I'll have to give her a shot and see if I enjoy her writing. And then when I was at Value Village recently, I ended up finding a copy of Remarkably Bright Creatures, and this one is a hardcover copy that's like in nearly perfect condition that I found for like $4 because my Value Village is amazing. And this is one that I don't really know if this is going to be my thing or not, but I've had a few people recommend this book to me, and I've just been hearing that this is a lot of people's like one of their top favorite books of this year, and so I thought I would give it a shot. It just says a charming, witty, and compulsively readable exploration of friendship, reckoning, and hope that traces a widow's unlikely connection with a giant Pacific octopus. And so I don't know, it's about a woman who's like working through her grief, and then I think it also takes place in the Pacific Northwest, which is pretty cool, and there's like a giant octopus living in an aquarium, and I think she feels some kind of bond with it. I don't really understand. I don't really know what this book is about, but I thought I would give it a shot because I saw it for so cheap, and there's just been so many people recommending this to me. I thought, why not? I also ended up getting a copy of The Handyman Method by Nick Cutter and Andrew F. Sullivan. This is a new horror book that I am so incredibly excited to read. This is one that I just bought from my local indie bookstore when my family was in town. I'm so excited for this one. I'm actually going to be reading this one in October for my friend Borderland. She has a book club over on her Patreon, and she asked me to co-host with her in the month of October, so we're going to be reading this book together for her Patreon. I think it's a little bit of like a haunted house, like a home renovation, something going wrong, haunted house kind of story, I think. I don't really know. I'm so excited because it's Nick Cutter, hello, the author of The Troop, one of my all-time favorite books. Like, let's freaking go. I also ended up buying a copy of The Venue by TJ Payne. This is a thriller that I'm going to be reading for the video that I'm working on this month of reading your thriller recommendations. And this one, all I really know about it is that we're following this woman who gets invited to a wedding for her ex. Like, she wasn't expecting to get invited because this guy is her ex, but she ends up going to the wedding anyways. And then it says now she doesn't expect to get out alive. And so I think it involves weddings, it involves murder. And then I also recently purchased Good Bad Girl by Alice Feeney. This one is actually our BookTube book club pick for the month of September that we're in right now. I don't really know what this one's about, except for it says 20 years after a baby is stolen from a stroller, a woman is killed. The two crimes are somehow linked, and there's like a mysterious connection between them. I don't really know. I don't want to know more than that. I'm going to be reading this one very soon. We just figured out that our book club live show for the BookTube is going to be happening on September 30th. At like 11 a.m. Pacific time, so I will have the link in the description if you want to save the link for the live show now so you can get a reminder and turn on reminders and all that. But I'm very excited for this one. I'm so excited for the live show happening later this month. I hope that this is a thriller that I just absolutely love. Right, so those are all of the books for this book haul. I know it was a lot, it was excessive, but I'm so excited about all of these books. Like, I genuinely feel like all of these books are ones that I am so excited to read that I'm gonna be struggling trying to choose my TBR coming up here because I am overwhelmed by all of the things. But I would love to know your thoughts if you've read any of the books mentioned in this video. I'd love to know what you think, or I would love to know if I put any of these books on your radar, if there's anything that sounds really interesting to you that now you're wanting to read as well. I would love to know that. And thank you so much for watching as always, and I will see you very soon with another video. Bye!